So in this video, we're going to talk about how to set up your master page. That really, after making your file, that should be the next thing you do. It's really important to your success with this project. So I'm going to go ahead and go to the Pages panel, which I talked about before. We see by default, everything has an A master. By default, up above, we have none and A master. Basically, you can have almost, I don't know, there's probably a limit to master pages, but I've never encountered it because normally you don't need that many. But you can have multitudes of master pages. It's really helpful when you're doing a document. Like I've done 200-page catalogs. So I might have one for a full page product, one for 2 half pages, and one for quarter pages, so that I quickly apply that layout and I don't have to mess with figuring out where everything goes. So the goal of master pages is basically just to make your life easier and to allow you to quickly apply settings across an entire document or across portions of a document. So I'm going to go ahead and double click on the A master. I'll know I'm there because I can come down here to the bottom and see it. I also see it highlighted, but if I click on places, it might get unhighlighted. You'll notice that there's 2 pages. So you're seeing both sides, even though we were just previously seeing one page, because it always starts and ends with one page, because think about when a book's shut, there's only one page you see. So master pages, though, you're going to always set up both sides of the page. A couple things we can do this. We can come up here to layout and go to margins and columns. So I could add columns here this way. So maybe I decide 3 columns is what I want to use. Me personally, I'm really come around to the modular grid system. I find it's a lot easier for me to work with. But if you just want to do 3 columns, knowing that you need to actually use this grid, whatever grid you set up, you should actually be employing to do things. So don't set up a grid and then not use it. This is where you want to think about what grid makes sense. You can also decide, like, maybe I'll unlink these and I'll decide, oh, I really need my bottom to be higher because I'm going to put my page numbers and stuff. So maybe I customize that measurement, or I customize another measurement. But that gives you a good starting point. You can put in the number of columns. I'm going to show you, though, another way. So if you want to do a more modular grid, the more efficient system than putting in columns here and then going someplace else. And if you ever make a change, like you start working and realize, oh God, this grid just doesn't work, you can come back here and make a change, and then they'll give you the option to adjust layout. So if you have things aligning with columns and you make a change, it will automatically update the layout. So I'm going to go ahead and say okay. So I've changed that margin, but the other way that I can do a modular grid is create guides. And this gives me rows and columns. So I'm going to say, I don't know, 8. Let's go with 8, looks good. And then I'm going to say 6 this way. That's pretty good. And I can choose whether I fit it to the margins. So the grid focuses on these pink and purple lines are the margins. Or I could set it to the page. I really usually don't want to do that. Margins are there because that's where, like, the containers for your live copy. The pink and purple are not the edges of your page. The black is. But it's sort of the anything that goes past this line, I can't guarantee it won't get cut off. And then I'll adjust my gutter. I'm just going to make it a tiny bit bigger. And you notice, like, I've preview checked so I can see. If I had to go back and edit this, I could remove existing guides and then add back in. So I'm going to say okay, and I now have my grid in place. Again, you can do columns or you can do this. It's up to you what makes the most sense for you. Now I want to add page numbers. So I'm going to go ahead and use my text tool and draw a text box down here. I'm getting the blinking cursor. Ideally, I would select the font and that stuff, but for right now, I'm just going to show you how to insert it. So text box, cursor's blinking. I want to come up here to type, and I want to go down to insert special character, markers, and I want to go to current page number. So type, insert special character, markers, current page number. What that's going to do, you're going to notice it puts an A, which is going to seem weird, but you're on the A master. So now I can actually format this. You're not going to want your numbers to be very big. I'm probably going to say 10 point. I might decide on, like, let's say a bold version of this, however you want to format it, okay? And you can put that in there. And then what you could do, you could also draw a text box and put it over here. Or what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold Option and Shift, and I'm going to copy it and align here. Now, obviously, I don't want the page number here and when it's here on this page. So I'm going to select this, and I'm going to right align. I just use Command Shift and R or Control Shift and R in a PC. I also could come up and select it. That's going to go ahead and put the page number in, and then they're lined up. I could also add my footer in if I decide that. So maybe I do decide I want to put a footer in, and I might type, you know, I'm just going to type my company since I didn't do that. And then I'm going to use the line, and I'll say brand identity guide. All right. So I could work on formatting this again. Maybe I decide all caps. There's no right or wrong to this. We just want to get something in place. I might do regular with this one. And then I could do the same thing where I hold Option Shift, move it so it's on both pages. And again, this time I'll left align. So Command Shift and L or Control Shift and L on a PC. Or I can come up here and do that. The other thing I might want to add is a header. So I could do the header across the top, or I can do the header down the side like I did in the other copy. I've decided maybe I want to do down the side. So I might also at this point go, oh wait, I need to fix my margins and columns because I want the outside to also be a larger margin. Oops, I'm going the wrong way. So that I allow for that, right? And notice I can click Adjust Layout now because I'm changing this. So I don't know that this, okay. So the Adjust Layout also, notice, so when I didn't check it, it left the A here and it didn't fix the grid. Here I'm saying Adjust Layout, so now it's even fixing the grid. So that's an important thing to check unless you want to manually fix everything. By clicking Adjust Layout, it'll fix everything for you. So I'm going to just draw a text box and put section header because that's basically, I'll use, like when I'm in typography, I'll change this to typography, etc. Again, I'm going to shrink the size. I'm going to do all caps. And now I'm just going to rotate this. So unlike Illustrator, notice it's not doing that awful thing Illustrator does now where it wants to change how it's laid out. It just is automatically doing what it should. So again, this time I can't as easily copy paste. I mean, I could, but I don't really need to. And again, I'm going to change where it's aligned against, this time right, so that it's in the same place, because the goal is I want everything to be the same. So now if I actually come out of here and I go to the pages, you'll notice every page has that applied. So now the number actually shows up. And then we'll talk a little bit later about how to actually change the section headers. I would recommend, though, for the first page, instead of using like the A master, I would probably apply none. And that way I can always put in my grid, but that way I don't have the page number and the other things I don't want on my front cover to show up. The other option you have, if you didn't want to do that, is you can come here and say, oh, it helps if I'm on the actual first page, sorry. And we can come here to override all master page options. This is actually how you can edit this text. But this also would mean I could delete all these items that I didn't want on this page. So I could still leave my master, but I could get rid of the things I don't need. That's another option for you. And notice it doesn't change any of the other pages. But that's how you would get started with setting up your master pages to begin creating your book.